I want to discuss with you a little bit the final project that you have to do. Irina just called us, she'll be here, but she's stuck in traffic, so it'll take her a few minutes to get here. But first of all, I want to give you my email, so that if you have a question, you can always write to me. This is the best way, because I know the university goes to that. It's the best way to get home. Now, I also asked Lana, she will send you the text of the Gordon plays in English, so that you don't, if you write a paper on it, you don't have to jump to think how to translate it from Russian to English and so forth. And you also can put in the page number. If you quote something, you can put in the page number from the English, not from the Russian, so I can see that I mean, it's a double job for you in the sense that you have to work with two languages, with two texts, but for writing a paper, it's much easier. Okay. Now, those who want to do an original research paper and work in the museum and in the library, then Irina will tell you what to do and how to go about it. This would really be, I think, a contribution to the academy, to knowledge, but I understand not everyone can do it. I was also asked, I have to ask Lana again about the dates. I think she wanted you to finish, what did Vitaly say? I think finish the papers by June 8, which doesn't give you very much time. I think so. I have to ask her. It's not really not my decision at all. We have to ask her. I have to see what. I think that's what she said. I think he wanted the grade, or maybe it was later. I think he wanted the grade by the 20th of June. We have to ask her exactly what the dates are. Now, don't get nervous about it. Basically, I'm giving you very much of a free hand. I want a paper that is roughly between 700 and 1,000 words, more or less. I don't like to say pages because one likes big letters and one likes small letters. And don't send me PDF, send me Word document. Because a PDF I cannot correct at all. A Word document I can write something and I can return it to you. Not just give you a grade, but also comment on what you write. So this is one thing. Basically, I'm giving you two options for the paper, and maybe even three, other than the original research. One is to deal with the God, man, and devil, mostly, but you can connect it also with Mirror First, both you'll get both in English, and to deal with money and power in mostly God, man, and devil, but connected a little bit also with Mirror First. Is a very, very clear idea of money, and there's good money, and there's bad money, and what money does to people, and this is one topic. Again, you'll get it all nicely formulated. The other one is to write, and here I will let you deal with as many play that you want, to deal with the use of props. All the plays have it, some more than others. It's very consistent in Gordon. If you read Godwin the Devil, you'll see there's also the issue of a violin there that is there all the time, used, not used. And I would consider it, it's not just a musical instrument, it's something that is a prop connected with the person. The other thing that I brought you, and I would like to go over, is if you, it's a kind of general, can you just pass it up? Can you please distribute? Hope there's enough. It's a graph that shows you how, when you deal with the character, just organizes things a little bit. And you see here there are a few, let's go over it a little carefully. You see there are two subdivisions. There is Figaro and authorial. Authorial means it's the author of the play. Description and the second, let's go to the authorial because this is simpler. Description, explicit and implicit. Explicit is this explicit, you know the difference between the two words? Explicit is the obvious. When I say she's wearing a red dress, or she is an old lady with a stick. So this is a description in the secondary text. So what's the secondary text? Everything that the actors don't actually say. It could be stage directions, it could be the list of characters at the beginning, various things in the text, but not things that are actually said on stage. Okay? The other one is telling names. Telling is not to tell a story, but names that have some meaning. Okay? Some authors use it, some don't. That's open to, sometimes it works, sometimes it's not. Okay. Then there is the implicit. Implicit refers to things that are not said openly. And those could be all kind of correspondence, contracts, things that we get from the outside, and also character names that are not obvious, not the miser, but there's something there that may shed some light on the character. Okay, so this is simple, this we put aside. Now let's go to the Figaro. The Figaro means the character. Again, we have explicit and implicit. You see the two subcategories. Let's go to the explicit. Explicit means things that are being said, that are obvious. We don't have to understand them, they're said. So, one is self-commentary. A character talks about himself. I am da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And it can be expressed in two forms. In a soliloquy, you know what a soliloquy is? A monologue, like Hamlet stands and talks, or in dialogue, in talking with another person. Stop me if it's not clear, because I want the words to be clear. The graph is simple, but the words need to be clear. The second one is commentary by others. Not what I say about myself, but what others say about me. Okay? Again, in a soliloquy, could be before the first appearance, and after the first appearance. Before the first appearance, it already prepares us for something. It could be the same, it could be the opposite, whatever. Okay? In dialogue, again, in presentia, if the character is there, what I say about you when you hear me, and in absentia, what I say about you when you don't hear me. And again, before and after the first appearance. Okay, clear thus far? Until now, we dealt only with words. Now we go into the implicit, which is not words that are being said, and this is the nonverbal. Nonverbal, physiognomy, the body, facial expressions. If somebody says, oh, I'm so happy, and does like this, gesture, masks, costumes. Somebody says, I'm a very rich person and is dressed in rags. Again, one comment on the other. Properties, which is props, like Mirala's stick. Locale, and general behavior. Then you have the verbal, and the verbal is more relevant to performance, a little less important for us for this particular job, and that is voice quality, verbal behavior, the way somebody talks. He talks very rapidly, he can talk very slowly, he can stutter, all kinds of things like this. And then we have dialects, which have a particular meaning to the audience. Somebody speaks with a rural dialect, like somebody from a village. It's the same language, but speaks differently. Okay? And there's all kinds of stylistic ways in which you speak. So this works not only for drama, it works for literature in general, but I think it's helpful if you try to deal with a character, and especially if you deal with a character in drama who changes, because characters change. So if you take a character like Mirala, who spoke about it, which is very kind of clear, you can very easily see, for instance, you'll see that in many plays, they start talking about the character before we see the character. I don't know if you remember, I don't know, I'm thinking Mirala Efros now, more than others, but they talk about Mirala before we see her. So by the time she appears, we already have a certain concept of her. And the concept fits what they say. Sometimes it doesn't fit. Okay, so all these things work together. But I wanted to give this to you because I find it's very helpful in terms of organizing your thinking and in preparing the paper that you write. Okay, questions? Really questions?
Well, maybe which style of quotation should we use, like Chicago and Malay, or it doesn't matter?
I personally don't like Chicago, I like MLA, but it doesn't matter. And you know what, it also doesn't matter so much because you're not using a lot of secondary sources. So if you're just writing about two plays, just put you quote something from a play, put it in parentheses in the text, you don't need a footnote for it. For what? To write 20 times is pointless. The style really matters when you have a lot of external sources, but you don't. So. If you do, then you know, use whatever you want. I personally prefer MLA, but it makes absolutely no difference. Why? Somebody insists on this or that here?
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
Listen, the whole idea of footnotes, you have to understand it, all this mechanism, is basically to make it convenient for the reader. and to be systematic. So it's not one time this and one time that, which is completely confusing. That's all. As long as you're logical and you follow a system, it's good with me. And you don't have to write the same 20 times. If you, let's say if you write about 3 plays, the first time you give a quote, you write, I don't know, a God of Vengeance, and later on, 24, say page 24, and later you just write GOV 31, GOV 45. If you write only about one play, you don't even need to do this, you just put the numbers in the body of the text. Don't waste your energy and time on things that really, at the end of the day, don't make any difference for the reader. Oh, wonderful. She ran here and she got stuck in traffic. Okay. Now, I also want you to be a little more, I think, sophisticated, and this does matter, on how you do your research. How do you look up something? You want to check something. All right, you can go to Google and do, I don't know, Jacob Gordon and see what you get. But that's only the beginning. What else do you do? You do research here. How do you search for things?
Well, maybe for some sources like JSTOR and find some information there.
All right. So look, for instance, somebody who was it yesterday asked me about the Tarbut schools and wanted to write about it. What should she do? Where should she go? Where does she begin? Okay. So here's what you do. That's where I would start, after Google, which is awesome. Okay, I forgot the exact, but Rambi is an abbreviation from Hebrew of Reshimat Ma'amarim V'Nosei Yahadut, a list of articles, academic articles, not newspaper articles, in Jewish topics. Basically, it's organized by Hebrew University, which is Hebrew University Jerusalem, huge. I think it's rambi.co.il. You can try it. Now, Rambi did anyone find it? You can check on your phones. rambi.co.il.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Now, let's say you can check it in 2 languages. You can check it in English, and you can check it in Hebrew. And I would advise both. That doesn't mean that you have to know Hebrew. Hebrew and Yiddish are the same letters. But if you want to put in somebody's name or a title of something, okay? So, go to Rambi and check Gordon. We make it simple, we can focus on Gordon here. Gordon, comma, Jacob. Does it give you anything? You have to play a little bit with the search, but the trick nowadays is to know how to search, not to just, okay. So, all right, it's a little hard on a small phone, but trust me, it works. And that gives you a full list, and it's very much up to date. Not of things that were written 100 years ago, but of academic articles. Sometimes it gives you the text, very often it does not. It tells you where it is. Then starts the issue of finding it. And if you cannot find it sometimes, if it's in a database that you don't have, I can try and help you with that. I cannot promise, but I can try to help. But this is the best source to look up for academic articles. Worldwide, that's not things that were published in Israel, that's where the database sits. It is constantly updated. Another thing, a lot of, you can also just go into the catalog of the Hebrew University. It's extensive and you can see what they have. That doesn't mean that you can take the book out, but you can see what exists, what's there. Secondly, a lot of Jewish newspapers in different languages. The old Hebrew newspapers, quite a lot of the Yiddish newspapers have been digitized. I don't think Russian newspapers have, but you know, they add newspapers all the time. This you'll find again through the portal, the library of the Hebrew University, of HUJI, digitized newspapers. And those who really need to work with some old newspapers, and if you're stuck, write to me. This is a little clumsy. It's more work than finding Rambi, than checking. Rambi is very simple, very, very quick. But this is how you find it. So if you want to do historical, modern Jewish historical research, this is the way to go. And this is, to me, more important than excuse me, Chicago or MLA. Okay. All right. Now, Irina will tell you how to do the research here. In Russian, I have no idea how to do it, but I have to tell you that when you search something now in Hebrew on Google, there's so many Russian speakers in Israel that even if the whole thing is in Hebrew, you very often will find also a link to a source in Russian. Because people know it and they add it. Okay. Okay. Ask her to tell us what to do.
Добрий день. Були вже в нашому музеї, в музеї театрального музичного кіномистецтва. Минулого року приходила група, якраз знайомилася з матеріалами з юдаїки, які зберігаються в нашому музеї. Ну, я не перестаю розповідати про те, що відносно юдаїки, яка зберігається в інших музеях, у нас певною мірою це така унікальна юдаїка, театральна юдаїка, про що розповідала вам на міні-курсі шановна пані Една. У нас, якщо ви оберете собі тему, ви знайдете матеріали по єврейських виставах. Звісно, ми фактично не маємо матеріалів про початковий період єврейського театру, про мандрівні трупи. Це дуже складно взагалі зберігалося, майже нічого немає за цей період. Є тільки мемуарна література, приміром записки, спогади Файля чи спогади Фішзона. Спогади Фішзона важче знайти, але вони є все-таки записки театрального антрепренера. А Файля «Жизнь єврейського актера» – це у мене є ця книжка, тобто нею можна користатися, бо дійсно це був такий дуже потужний процес, і до 17-го року, незважаючи на певні там заборони за схожість їдиша з німецькою, все ж таки в Україні працювало до 600 єврейських акторів, і приблизно вони були організовані в 40 труп театральних. Тобто це дуже потужний процес, але, на жаль, він майже не зафіксований. І ось це, ну, такі, можливо, там по крихтам в якихось архівах знаходити, але у нас цього немає. Що у нас є натомість? У нас доволі так пристойно, доволі потужно висвітлена робота вже 20-30-ті роки. Єврейський театр – це госети. Київський госет, гірше харківський госет висвітлений, оскільки, ну, територіально, чисто територіально це так, і одеський госет. Ось ті три, навіть для пані Едни було новиною, що в Україні було навіть не один госет, а три, і вони також дуже цікаво, потужно працювали. Є з чим можна працювати. Це фотографії, афіші, програми. Те, що залишається по виставі, з цим матеріалом можна працювати. Наприклад, коли минулого року був сторіччя з дня смерті Шолом Алейхема, то ось просто з того матеріалу, який у нас зберігається, Шолом Алейхем на київській єврейській сцені, просто взяти і вибрати це 9 потужних вистав. Ну, от таким чином, ось такий матеріал, з яким можна працювати, зберіглися певні рецензії, по яких можна, ну, не те, що реконструкцію, а просто відтворити виставу. Ну, ось такий матеріал. Тому, в залежності від того, які теми ви оберете, ми, ну, ось можна буде зробити таке дослідження. В чому ще дуже така складність? Це все, воно так закапсульовано тут, на нашій території. Про це майже ніхто не знає, бо публікацій англійською на цю тему фактично немає. Ось я показала пані Едні те, що можна знайти в інтернеті, там російською мовою, те, що я публікувала, і воно є в інтернеті. Але це абсолютно не виходить на всесвіті. Тобто наші українські госети, ну, московські знають, Міхойлса, московський госет знають. І навіть тут в Україні, коли кажуть госет, Москва, Міхойлс, там все таке. Розумієте, тут певна така є місія, так сказати, щоб вивести наш єврейський театр, який був тут на наших територіях, ну, в світовий контекст його ввести. Назвати акторів, режисерів, сценографів, які співпрацювали з цим госетом і які дійсно, ну, робили велику справу єврейського їдишського театру. Ось таким чином я хотіла б заохотити вас попрацювати з фондами нашого музею. І ось якщо Една чекає від вас саме англомовних, я так розумію, есеїв, які можна було б опублікувати, і я зі свого боку, ну, матеріали, те, що знайдете у фондах, і консультації з мого боку, це ось вам забезпечено. Дякую. Тому там визначитися з темами, чи це персоналія, чи це огляд роботи госету, ну от таке. Чи може хтось захоче взяти сценографів, наприклад, того ж Марка Епштейна, який співпрацював із київським, із харківським госетом. У нас зберігаються матеріали, але небагато, але просто такий про художника написати есей англомовний і ось вписати його якимось чином. Ось таке. Дякую за увагу, думаю, що попрацюємо ще.
Okay. By the way, I checked this morning.
Тільки Една не зрозуміла, що я сказала.
Somebody has to translate me for me now. I put into Google in Hebrew, Teatron, Yehudi, Teatron, Theater, Jewish, Kiev. And for instance, I came across something, I don't know if you know about it, in 1988, there was a new theater in Kiev called, Yiddish theater called Mazutov.
Театр Мазутов – це театр 80-х років, може хто пам'ятає, ні, не пам'ятає.
What did you say?
Він в 88-му році був організований, потім десь в 96-му він розпався. нерентабельний, був Георгій Мельський. Але це вже зовсім інша історія, а їдишський театр 20-30-х років – це ось така терра інкогніта, біла пляма. А це, напевне, неправильно. Якщо дійсно говоримо про історію єврейського театру, то маємо...
Okay. Another thing that I found from this year is something called cabaret Holocaust. I don't know how you say Shoah in... You know what it was? Yeah? You see, I have no way of judging, but it says that the Jews of Ukraine are very angry because there's a cabaret Holocaust in a theater in Kiev. And it was, you know what it is?
It was something, but nobody knows.
Well, it says it was a storm, that the theater is across the street from the main synagogue, and that the chief rabbi of the Ukraine, Moshe Asman, was very, very angry and spoke about it, and that the play was, it somehow, I don't know, that it was a provocation, and it was some sort of a satire, and so on and so forth. I can guarantee you, if you checked it in English, you will find it. But it's a minor thing, nobody writes about it. But that's what I'm saying, sometimes, even if your Hebrew is very limited, it pays to check it in Hebrew because there's much more awareness and interest, and so things are reported in a way that they're not reported in other places. Okay, end of talk. Before we move into our play, any question? Any question for Irina? After. And I need your email, even if I can use it. Okay, this is mine. All right. Can you write it for me?
Можете там записати
You want to give it to them?
А може на
і для студентів, і на дошці.
Okay, both. Irina is so happy she finally found people who are interested. No, it's great stuff that she has, and
And she presented also a few times on different conferences, her articles, her researches about this, or what they have in museum. So we are familiar with this.
all right. I also, by the way, asked Lana to send you an article that deals, I think I mentioned it to you, that we're not reading, but she's a scholar who went over everything that was submitted to the censor in St. Petersburg until the revolution. And so it shows the connection between America and Russia and what gets done in the Tsarist Empire. Okay.
Мелешкіна, то...
Melashkina and Big Mir? What's Big Mir?
Ну, не щось перейдужене.
So,
На Gmail.
Ghetto. We spoke a little bit yesterday about this phenomenon of the Holocaust as defining identity, and it becomes more and more so. This has not always been the case, not in the United States and not in Israel. Even though Israel was the home to the largest group of Holocaust survivors after the war, people didn't quite know what to make of it, and there was this idea that maybe the Jews went like sheep to the slaughter, and yes, Yom HaShoah was instituted, but it followed the ideology of the partisans, and it's to this day called Yom HaShoah ve'Gvura, the day of the Holocaust and of heroism. The heroism was very important here. So it was largely the partisans who were really a very small group who dictated to a large extent what is remembered and how is remembered for many, many years. And survivors themselves did not like to talk too much about it. Even after the Eichmann trial, which sort of opened it, but there wasn't too much talk about it. I myself said that was about 15 years ago with the mother of my brother-in-law, who was a survivor, who was hidden, she and her sister were hidden by a Polish farmer in a ditch for several years. And they were young girls at the time. And I was sitting with her, Paula, and her granddaughter, who was about 15 at the time. And Paula starts telling me about this whole experience, and I see that her granddaughter sits like this. And I said, Paula, you never told them these stories? And she said, no. I said, why? And she said to me, they never asked. So there was a certain silence for a very long time when it came to these things. Holocaust survivors wanted to start a new life and to show that they have a productive life, that they marry and have children and have a house and have a family and so forth. And native Israelis didn't quite know how to understand it, and so nobody spoke too much about it. Much of it changed, especially after the Yom Kippur War. Suddenly there was this feeling of an existential threat, a real fear that people felt. Holocaust survivors also became older, so they were more open to speaking about it. And also there was a change in government in Israel. So when the Likud, which is more to the right, came to power, especially Menachem Begin, who came from Poland, and his family was killed and so forth, everything starts to open up. And a visit to Yad Vashem became kind of an obligatory thing when important people come to Israel. That was not the case before, not at all. And you have the feeling that with the decline of the original ethos of the founders, the socialist founders and the ethos of the kibbutz, which doesn't exist anymore, basically, and so forth, the Holocaust comes more and more to the front as a marker of identity. So this brings us to the play, Ghetto, which is really the first play that deals directly with the Holocaust. Of course, showing the Holocaust on the stage is a problem. It's easier to deal with the memories of survivors, with the effect of it. How do you show it on stage? It's easier to do in a film, maybe, with Schindler's List, you could do it, but what do you do on stage? There are all kinds of ways to deal with it, but the reality was that whenever it was dealt with on stage, not in literature, but on the stage, it would be survivors who were traumatized by it. Situations like this. People who collaborated with the Nazis, which was considered the worst thing you could have done. Again, we've changed a little bit our view of that. But not the thing itself. And in this respect, Sobel's play was really the first. Sobel shows it to you. Yes, it's very theatrical, but he shows it to you. He does not deal with the after effect of it. He deals with it right now. Still, he begins with the present, but we'll get to it in a minute. Now, just a couple of words about Sobel. Of all the playwrights that we're seeing, that we've read, he's the only one who's still alive. He was born in Israel in 1939. And started his life as a kibbutz member, and he's still very much left-wing in his ideas. In 1965, he went to Paris. He studied the Sorbonne and was very influenced by Brechtian theater, by the theater of Bertolt Brecht. Starts writing and is very interested in Jewish history and historical issues, and also a certain correspondence between the present and the historical events that he shows on stage. Now, Ghetto is the first and the most successful of a trilogy of plays that he wrote about Vilna. And the play was a phenomenal success. I don't think anyone anticipated it, but it was done all over the world. In many, many languages. We know that it was done in 24 countries, was translated into 20 languages, and got many, many prizes. And can you help us with this here? Here we have a little something that we found, Lana and I, in a language that I don't know, but you know, the production, not the one I will show you, but another one.
Меня зовут Марсель, я режиссер спектакля «Ghetto». Я очень рад возможности поставить эту пьесу с этими замечательными актерами.
Hallo, guten Tag. Меня зовут Юлия Тейфель. Итак, проект «Гетто». Последние 10 лет я мечтала быть актрисой именно театра мюзикла, но у нас такого театра в Казахстане не было. И с большим удовольствием я работаю в немецком театре. Однако проект «Гетто», который ожидает нас, дает мне такую прекрасную возможность исполнить мою мечту. В «Гетто» я играю две роли. Вместе с Галей Табалой мы играем две роли по очереди. То есть, когда я играю певицу Харю, она играет Сару. Когда она играет певицу Харю, я играю Сару. Это очень интересный опыт, потому что, получается, мы всегда будем находиться в этом спектакле, однако роли у нас будут разные.
Здравствуйте, меня зовут Галя Табала. Я играю в мюзикле «Гетто» певицу Хаю, пару с Юлией Тейфель и еврейку Сару.
Меня зовут Сергей Тейфель. В спектакле «Гетто» я играю нацистского офицера Кителя, который фанатично предан искусству, ну и, конечно же, нацистскому режиму. Это очень ответственно и очень страшно мне играть эту роль. Так что вот так вот. Посмотрим, что из этого выйдет.
Меня зовут Арлан Касиманов. Я участвую в спектакле «Гетто». Я играю... Персонаж зовут Срулик. Это такой... Вообще это руководитель театра «Гетто», художественный руководитель. Но это не просто художественный руководитель, это еще и чревовещатель. То есть у этого чревовещателя есть еще свой партнер, как бы кукла, которую он управляет. Ну вот примерно такая роль.
Меня зовут Лариса Фатеева. В спектакле «Гетто» моя роль Лина, кукла.
Меня зовут Сергей Николаевич. Я актер немецкого театра. В новой постановке «Гетто» я буду играть роль якобы герца, начальника милиции. Даже не очень похож.
Меня зовут Бондан Тимур, мой персонаж Вайсков, владелец швейной фабрики в Гетто.
Здравствуйте, я Александр Красников. Если Бог таки даст, я таки в спектакле «Гетто» сыграю библиотекаря Крука через П. Спасибо.
Меня зовут Мария Азарова. В спектакле «Гетто» я играю актрису по имени Лея.
Меня зовут Акилхан, я играю в спектакле «Гетто» партизана по имени Ицек.
Меня зовут Вячеслав Голышев, я актер Местного театра. В данном спектакле «Гетто» я играю роль Деспера. Это еврей, полицейский, который следит за евреями, которые находятся в этом лагере.
Здравствуйте, меня зовут Дудрик Антон. Меня зовут Александр Шитов. Мы играем роль мальчика, которого зовут Тагиев. Этот мальчик, к сожалению, лишился своих родителей во время немецких репрессий. Плюс ко всему мы играем эсэсовцев, довольно таких злобных, безумных.
The basic question, of course, of the play that Sobel wanted to bring up is a basic moral question, and that is, how should man choose when good is not an option? And the central figure of the play is a historical figure, is Yaakov Gans. We'll talk about him in the head of the Vilna Ghetto. A very complicated figure, both emotionally and morally. He didn't have to be there, he could have saved himself. He chose to be in the ghetto, but he was also the dictator of the ghetto, and he made decisions that are not simple decisions. But let's go to the play itself. The play begins, and what we see here is, is a revival, is a new production. Not very new, but from a few years ago, not the original production. An Israeli production, no translation, so if you have the text, it would be helpful to sit and also look at the text at the same time. We also have the text in English here. So it starts in the today. It starts with today, with someone who sits in his apartment in Tel Aviv, his only one arm, and reminisces. Says, okay, you want to know how it was. We do have the text, by the way, in English here. So he says, the last performance, no, I don't remember. The last performance you want to know about? Just a minute. It was on the evening before Kittel killed Gens, the head of the ghetto. That's right, exactly 10 days before the ghetto was liquidated. And he said, of course, the full house, and on he goes, and as he speaks, the walls crumble, and we go to the scene. And the same thing happens at the end, the moment of now. So basically, it is a memory play. And we understand that what we see is what this character actually remembers. Again, why use this technique? Because there's a distancing here a little bit. It's telling us, you know, this is what he remembers, not just this is what was, period. Okay? So let's see the first scene from the, I'm sorry I have to bother you. And then we'll see a couple more scenes. The DVD.
Maybe in DVD.
All right, so in the meanwhile, I'll give you a little information about Vilna. Vilna before the war, anybody knows how many Jews were in Vilna? 70,000. 70,000 Jews, and they were the largest ethnic group of the city. And of course, you know, Yerushalayim Belita, it was a very famous community by virtue of the cultural life there. Yivo starts, everything starts, it seems, in Vilna. Now, when the Nazis come in the summer of 1941, they grab Jewish men on the street. They tell them that they're going to labor camps, but in fact they're sent to Ponar. Ponar was a picnic area at the end of town, and there, and then they add to it women and children are all massacred. About 50,000 Jews were killed. The first week of September 1941, 6 wounded women managed to escape somehow from Ponar. They're buried under bodies and so forth, and are taken secretly to the Jewish hospital in Vilna, where they tell the horrible story that becomes all known. Because the Jews are so afraid of reprisals from the Germans, they keep the whole thing secret. They don't talk about it. And especially because, how do you say aktia?
Action.
No, it's not just action. It's aktia, the Nazi aktia started, and as I said, they killed almost 50,000 people in Ponar at the time. Now, the 20,000 of the 70,000, the 20,000 Jews that are still alive, they keep, in essence, in 2 ghettos. We focus on the Vilna ghetto. Now, still, in order to somehow organize it and control it, a Judenrat is organized. Everybody knows what a Judenrat is? A Jewish council. Because you need some order in all this, otherwise nothing can be done. And the Judenrat exists until July 1942, where full control is given to Gantz. First he's the head of police, and then he becomes really the emperor, so to speak, of the ghetto. And for 2 years, until the ghetto is liquidated on September 20th, 1943, there was a monumental effort to save whatever can be saved. And this is the period that this play deals with. The effort to rescue another Jew and another Jew and another Jew, and he negotiates constantly, and a monumental effort to keep Jewish culture alive so that people don't just completely disintegrate. And the theater was immensely popular there, and we have some original, at the lobby of the theater when this was done, they showed also some original flyers, a few things from the shows. The first show was done on January 18, 1941, 4 months after the Vilna ghetto opens, and about 2 months after the mass killing of 50,000 Jews ended. The establishment of the theater, and we see it in the play itself, created quite a stir. Not everybody favored it. Some people thought it was like crook in the play, thought it was a terrible thing to do because theater was associated with entertainment, and how can you have entertainment when so many people are being killed? But the first evening proved a huge success. Despite all the horrible situation there, people flooded the place and the theater continues. And the one who stands behind it is really Gantz. He saw it not only as something that would give work to Jewish artists who were still there, but would also somehow keep a sense of normalcy, would keep the spirit on, and people would not be completely broken. So within 1 year, the theater gave 111 performances. Think of it. With all the horror that happens there, 111 performances. The auditorium, the space, wherever they performed, was packed. The tickets were snapped days and sometimes weeks before the opening. And until the liquidation of the ghetto, the number of plays went up and up, and it's estimated that about 70,000 viewers, that is to say repeated of course, saw the productions. Now the cultural activity was not limited to the theater, of course. The library was very active, we also see it in the play. The library was open 2 days after the expulsion, and Herman Kruk, who's a character in the play, was really a former Bundist, was the one in charge. And it is said that about 400 books came and went. It was a very active library. They had a membership of almost 1,500 people, and people constantly took books in and out. There was even talk about creating a Jewish museum and all this, which didn't happen. So there was tremendous activity amidst all this cultural activity, educational activities, lectures, symposia, teaching for children, teaching for adults, among all this. And somehow within these dire circumstances, there were also some coffee shops, some food that was sold on the street. Somehow things got smuggled in. Wasn't easy, but things did get in. Women were known, for instance, to wear corsets with many pockets, and in the pockets they would hide a little food, a little I don't know, a flour or a little sugar or a little something that enabled them to exist. So everything that basically you read in the play and see in the play is based on what happened. How do we know so much? Because poet Avraham Sutzkever, after the war, found Herman Kruk took notice of everything. He had diaries, and the diaries exist and describe everything, that all the facts that we have. Otherwise, you really wouldn't know exactly. So let's see the first scene. This is the Comedy Theater in Tel Aviv, a major theater, and this is a production of Ghetto. We'll see the first and second scene, and then we'll stop.
ההצגה האחרונה
The last show.
למה אתה בכלל רוצה לדעת? מה זה כל כך חשוב לך? תיאטרון בגטו? עזוב, יותר טוב לשכוח. מה אני זוכר? קור, פחד, אהב, הבושה. זה היה 10 ימים לפני חיסול הגטו. זאת הייתה ההצגה האחרונה.
The last show.
מה? בטח מלא. תמיד היה מלא בהצגות שלנו. מה היה לאנשים לעשות? לראות טלוויזיה? כל הכרטיסים נמכרו שבועות מראש. זהו. זה אומר הכל. מה? עוד שאלות? לתיאטרון. אנשים היו צריכים למחרת בבוקר לעלות על הרכבת שתוביל אותם למחנות, אז ערב לפני הם לבשו את הבגדים הכי טובים שלהם ובאו להצגה. איך? לצחוק על המוות. היה לנו גם שיר כזה. החבר'ה משחקים על ערימת גופות, פוקר עם המוות בצל המשרפות. זהו. יותר אין לי מה להגיד. עזוב, מה אתה מחטא? אני לא רוצה לדבר על זה.
I don't want to talk about it.
אני לא רוצה לדבר על זה. נו שואל, בבוקר עוד ישבתי במשרד שלי, קראתי מחזות, מינו אותי למנהל האומנותי, אתה מבין? אני מנהל. הכרזנו על תקופת מחזה מקורי בחיי הגטו. אנשים כתבו. למה כתבו? למה כותבים מחזות? שהחיים הם לא חיים. אנשים רוצים לראות על הבמה חיים יותר חיים מהחיים. שהחיים בורחים, התיאטרון תופס אותם בזנב. כתבו, קטריל כברוידה, הירש קבליק, לייבלה רוזנטל, ישראל דיבוקמן, כתבו מחזות יפים. לא נשארו. היו בכתב יד, לא נשארו. רק בראש. דברים טובים זוכרים הרבה זמן, דברים רעים עוד יותר. הזיכרון כמו תיאטרון, תמונות. היינו צריכים להציג את המחזה שיזכה במקום הראשון, אבל לא הספק. הגטו חוסל. מה אני זוכר? גן עדן. אקציות, נוטיציות. שם מדרשים, פה מתרגשים. הגטו בצרה, אצלנו בכורה. הצגה, עם זמרים, שחקנים, תפאורות, תלבושות. בגדים לתיאטרון. לא, זה לא היה חסר. היו לנו בגדים יותר מאנשים.
We had more garments than people.
גברים לחוד, נשים לחוד, ילדים לחוד. שניהם. אני הייתי ביניהם. העבודה שלנו הייתה למיין את הבגדים.
Their job is to sort out the clothes that come in. Mountains of clothes.
את.
אפשר לקחת זוג נעליים?
מה את רוצה?
נעליים?
אם היית יודעת מאיפה הנעליים האלה באות, לא היית נוגעת בהן.
If you knew where the shoes come from,
עכשיו
you
את
wouldn't
רוצה, את
touch
יכולה
them.
לקחת נעליים.
You can take them.
את. בואי הנה.
Come here.
תורידי את זה.
Take it off.
את רוצה שמלה?
Do you want a dress?
שמלה.
תלבשי אותה.
Put it on.
כובע!
Hat.
תרימי את הראש. תסדרי את השיער.
Fix your hair. Put your head up.
שימי את הכובע.
Put your hat on.
אוללה. כשאתן יפות, אין יותר יפות מכן. תסתובבי.
Turn around.
וונדרבר. את. מה זה? הריון?
Are you pregnant?
את לא יודעת מה העונש של הריון אצל נשים יהודיות?
You don't know what the penalty is?
פלטת הלשון? מה יש לך שם? תוציאי.
Take it out.
תני. 1 קילוגרם שועית. ממי קנית? לא קנית, גנבת. גנבת קילו שועית ממחסני הצבא.
1 kilo of dry peas.
אתה משחק את הגיבור ואני אקבל כדור בראש?
את מי מעניין הראש שלך?
אותי! אני תלוי עליו.
זה הזמן לעשות חשבונות על החיים העלובים שלך!
עלובים עליו! תחשוב על האלטרנטיבה!
תהיה גבר! תגן עליה!
איזה גבר? אני סתם יהודי.
אל תתפאר בזה!
מי מתפאר? אני רוצה לחיות.
הוא נתן לה את השועית!
זה נכון?
אל תאמין לו, הוא שקרן כרוני. הוא סתם מנסה לסבך אותי.
תראו אותו! מי שמדבר על שקרנים, תקב אוצרו ותשחרר את העולם מנוכחותה של התולעת העלובה הזו!
שטוב.
לא, שמעת?
הוא אומר את זה לך!
לך! לך! אני לא יכול להשתמש עליו, אני מרים ידיים. לאן שאני הולך הוא רודף אחרי, דוחף את האף שלו כל עניין, מסבך אותי לכל החיים!
כדי! בדיוק להפך!
אתה נתת לה את השועית?
אם היה לי שועית הייתי נותן אותה למישהו.
Did you give her the
האישה הזאת לא מתעסקת בשוק השחור. זאת חיה רוזנטל, אומנית גדולה.
נו, אומנית! בינונית!
אומנית גדולה מאוד!
ואם היא בינונית אסור לה לחיות! הוא מאוהב בה!
לפני המלחמה היא הייתה כוכב.
בחתונות!
כוכב! עכשיו חודשיים שאין לה עבודה, היא גובעת ברעב.
היא רזה כמו קיסם שיניים, נשארו רק שדות!
אני מעז לפנות אליך כי אתה בתור אומן.
אל תתחנף, כי תשונא חנפנים!
כולם לכאן. אתה. מאזניים. יש לכם 30 שניות לאסוף את כל השועית שהיא גנבה. רגע.
30 seconds to collect it all.
שני.
What's in there?
hot! כמה?
940 גרם.
940 grams. 60 grams are missing.
איך את מתכוונת לשלם לי את החוב?
How will you pay me?
בזה? או בזה?
בזה.
מכירה? Heilige Nacht? תשירי.
Sing it.
תקשיבי. היהודי הזה אמר שאת זמרת. אם הוא שיקר, שניכם הולכים לפונר. תשאירי.
פונר is always a threat.
יבש.
למה לא אמרת?
תודה.
על עוד דבר.
אני אשיר שיר משלנו.
I'll sing a song of
ציטוט
ours.
אדם?
מי אתה שבידיך גם מותי וגם חיי, שמע קולי נשבר אליך ואתה חרש אליי, ראה יומי הולך גובר ויורדת עלתה, את נפשי אין איש יודע, התדע אותה אתה, את נפשי אין איש יודע, התדע אותה אתה. העולה שתיקה אליך מרחובות ומבתים, כל חיי פורצים בכוח, כי מלאו חיי מתים, ורק כפרים ירדו מרבות, פה בעמק הבחר, התעז אותה לשמור, יום אתה תישא כיכה, התעז אותה לשמור, יום אתה תישא כיכה, ותרדוף אותי שותקת כל עירי שנית בך, שתיקתך אותי שורפת, איך אשא תפילה לך, מי אתה שבידיך גם אותי וגם חיי, שמע קולי נשבר אליך ואתה חרש אליי, שמע קולי נשבר אליך ואתה חרש אליי.
All right, let's stop it here. The songs are authentic songs from the ghetto. Of course, the original was in Yiddish. One of the highlights, I would say, of the play is scene 6, where, known as the insulin, with a big dilemma. There is a fixed amount of insulin. Nothing can be had anymore. From outside, black market, nothing. This is what we have. Now, how do you use the insulin? Who do you give it to? Do you give it, it's a moral question, it's not a medical question. Do you give a little bit to a lot of people? Do you give a larger amount to people who really cannot exist without it? What do you do with the insulin? And we are called, they call in Gens, calls in the authorities. Who are the authorities to decide such things? He cannot decide. The hospital has to decide what to do. And who does he call in? Called in a rabbi and a judge. These are the moral authorities that can make a decision. Can they make a decision?
they can help.
No. Because it is the kind of decision where there's nothing that can be done here. No matter what you decide, it's a decision between bad and bad. And nobody really wants to take the responsibility for that. It's one of the strongest scenes in the play, and it is followed by another scene that we'll see, and that is the scene of the third child. The Germans say no more than 2 children for families. What do you do when you have a family of 3? 1 child? It's liquidated. How do you deal with that? Can we go to moment 50 about? And we'll see the 2 scenes. These are, I have to tell you, just remembering seeing those scenes on stage, it gives you the shivers.
הבעיה היא זאת, יש לנו בגטו 50 חולי סוכרת, יש חולים קשים ויש חולים שמצבם
This is the doctor. What do we do?
מה הבעיה?
What's the
מתי
problem?
האינסולין שבסל תרופות יספיק לכל החולים ל3 חודשים נוספים בלבד?
Everybody for 3 months.
כל החולים ימותו.
If not, everybody will die.
ובכן, אם נפסיק את התרופה לחולים הקשים, אנחנו יכולים להבטיח את חייהם של החולים שמצבם טוב יותר לפחות לעוד 2 שנתיים.
So if we take it from the very sick and we give it to the less sick, we can extend their lives for 2 years.
לא, אבל בתנאים שלנו 2 זה יותר מנצח.
בתנאים שלנו גם 3 חודשים זה יותר מנצח.
אתם בורחים מהבעיה.
זה שוק חופשי. מי שיש לו חופשי לקנות בשוק השחור, ומי שאין לו חופשי לקפוץ לבור. כמו שנאמר, טוב היות האדם בריא ועשיר, מאשר חוזה דלים. ברוך אתה אדוני, המשפיל דלים ומרים עשירים. אמן.
אני שואלת אם מותר לי מבחינה מוסרית להשיג את התרופה לאלה שאין להם סיכוי. כדי להציל אחרים שיש להם סיכוי.
אינני מוצא בספר החוקים שעל רמה מסוימת של סוכר בדם מגיע לאדם עונש מוות.
לא עניתם לשאלה שלי.
You don't answer.
מה יותר מוסרי? להפקיר למוות את כל החולים, או שאולי להציל את אלה שאנחנו יכולים להציל?
סלקציה בין חולים! איך את מעזה? זו רפואה נאצית! אדוני נתן ואדוני לקח. לבני אדם אסור להתערב בכך. בעולמנו הכל בידי שמיים.
Everything is in the hands of God. What kind of word are we talking about? This is pure grace.
אנחנו נמשיך בתוכנית. מה עכשיו? עכשיו מקהלת הילדים. מקהלת הילדים. רבותיי, אנחנו נמשיך עם שיר שכתב ילד בן 11, אלכס בולקוביסקי, במסגרת תחרות שירי הילדים של היודלהט, מקהלת הילדים.
An 11-year-old child who really won the competition of songs that the Yiddish organized.
Leave me, Shuva, Lach, Lo, Abba,
בוא בבקשה לבמה. אני שומע שהקהל שלך לא מרוצה מהתיאטרון שלהם. בוא ניתן להם תיאטרון טוב, כזה שירגש אותם, איזו מלודרמה קורעת לב. ילדים, יש לנו בעיה דמוגרפית. גבר איש נולד להם ילד אחד. יש ריבוי טבעי או אין ריבוי טבעי?
One child.
אבא, אמא, ילד,
mother, child.
אין ריבוי.
בראבו. גבר אישה מתחתנים, נולדים להם שני ילדים. יש ריבוי טבעי או אין ריבוי טבעי? כן, מתוקה.
אבא, אמא, ילד, אין ריבוי.
וונדרבר. 3 ילדים.
3 children.
3 ילדים, יש ריבוי.
בראבו. עכשיו גנץ, אם הפירר ציווה לעצור את הריבוי הטבעי בקרב היהודים, אז הילד השלישי...
What happened to the third child?
מיותר.
בראבו. קדימה גנץ, סלקציית הילד השלישי.
Selection of the third child.
אמא, ילד השלישי. קפוט.
אבא, אמא, ילד, הלאה. אבא, אמא, ילד, הלאה. אבא, אמא, ילד, הלאה.
לפניי צועדת שורה של 5 בני אדם, בעל, אישה ו3 ילדים. מה יהיה? גנץ סופר.
אבא, אמא, ילד.
את הילד השלישי, נער בן 12, הוא מוציא החוצה מן השורה. מרביץ לו במקל על הגב. במקל הוא מגרש את האב ואת האם ואת 2 הילדים הנותרים אל תוך קהל הניצולים, האלה שנועדו לחיות. את הילד השלישי הוא מעמיד בצד. המשפחה עומדת בתוך קהל הניצולים. ידיים שמוטות, מקוננים, בוכים. איבדנו ילד בגלל יהודי, בגלל גנץ. כעס פראי משתלט על הקהל, על השורות הצועדות, אנשים מתלחשים. גנץ רוצח יהודי, גנץ בוגד. לפניי צועדת עוד שורה של 3 בני אדם. אבא, אמא וילד אחד. גנץ סופר.
1, אבא, 2, אמא, 3, ילד.
פתאום גנץ צועק על האב.
גולם! איפה הילד השני שלך?
הוא מניח לו לענות, מרביץ לו במקל על הגב. כעס, מהומה, באמצע מהומה, גנץ תופס את הילד השלישי. זה הילד שקודם, הוא קרא אותו ממשפחתו וזורק אותו בתור ילד שני למשפחה עם הבן היחיד וצועק.
אידיוט, איך שכחת את הילד השני שלך?
How did you forget your second child?
הילד צועד עם המשפחה הזרה אל תוך קהל הניצולים. הוא ניצל. 219 ילדים אחרים נשלחו למוות.
219 children were dead. Okay, stop here. And we have no more time. I wanted to show you the very last scene where you see the dance of the costumes. Because the costumes have a huge role here. The costumes become, of course, a metaphor for people. And constantly, there's one thing that there's no shortage of. You have nice costumes and poor costumes. So you have costumes for women and for children and for men. Because there's a whole factory, the whole economics going on there of cleaning them and washing them and cleaning them and fixing them and resending them. Nothing in the German machine is wasteful. Everything gets used. And at the very end, can you bring us where it says 2 hours? We'll see the dance of the garments, and that'll be the end. All right.
Later.
It's 2 hours.
Almost.
What I think.
מה קרה?
What happened?
מה כל כך נבהלת, קיטל?
Why are you so scared?
בין כה וכה, אני ואתה ניפגש בגיהנום.
Both of us will meet in hell.
קיטל, השחקנים מוכנים.
קודם נראה את השחקנים. סאטירה פשוט יוצאת מן הכלל. אני מבין בנושא, אני הייתי שחקן בעצמי בקברטים הסאטיריים של ברלין. הופה, מיינפירר. אם זה פה, איפה היא? איפה? רגע, אני ביקשתי לראות את כל חברי להקת התיאטרון. איפה הזמרת שחייבת לי 15 גרם שביעי?
Where's the singer?
איפה חיה? איננה. מה? סאטירה, מה? אני אלמד אתכם פרק בסאטירה גרמנית. אתם יודעים שאם אדם נעלם מהגטו כל משפחתו תוצא להורג? ובכן, משפחה יקרה, לקיר. שתי! פנים אליי!
Face me.
חשבתם שהוציא אתכם להורג? אחרי ההופעה הנהדרת שלכם? עכשיו, כשהרוסים בשער.
When the Russians are right nearby?
האומנות הנעצרת שלכם הצילה את חייכם. וזו תודתי לכם. סיר מלא ריבת תופני פנים ולחם טרי.
Fresh bread and jam, cherry jam, fresh.
טעם גן עדן. בואו תאכלו איתי.
Come eat.
בואו, יש מספיק לכולם, בואו, כן. גץ, אתה לא. ההצגה האחרונה?
The last show. This is the end.
זאת הייתה ההצגה האחרונה.
This was the last
כזאת
show.
לא תהיה יותר.
There'll never be another one like it. All right. So, with this we conclude not a very happy conclusion, but a very, very strong show. And I want to thank you. This has been very special for me. I hope you've also learned some stuff, and your imagination begins to also take you to new places. And what can I say? You know, in French, they say partir c'est mourir un peu. Who speaks French here? No one? To leave, to say goodbye, is to die a little. And that's the way I feel now. So, thank you very, very much. It's been very, very special for me. And I feel I've made new friends here. Don't hesitate. If you need anything, write to me. If you have any question, if I can help you in any way, I'll be more than happy to do so. It was a wonderful experience for me, and hopefully also to some extent for you. Thank you.